Innovation Unplugged from the Alabama Community College System's Innovation Center takes you inside Alabama's workforce development. Join us for enlightening conversations with community leaders and industry experts showcasing experiences, addressing key issues, and celebrating successes in the workforce initiatives across the state. Hey, welcome back, guys, to another episode of Innovation Unplugged. I am Houston Blackwood, Workforce Director for the Innovation Center. I'm happy today to have two new guests on our show. On my left is Colby Thompson from Thompson Contractors. He's the owner of that company. And on my right is Kory Boling, the Executive Director of the Alabama Home Builders Foundation. We're so tickled to have you guys here. This is our third episode to record today. So in our push to have state associations on board and on the show, on board with our work, and from the associations, their membership, and getting those teams plugged into our colleges, and more specifically into the Skills for Success program. So this is exciting. So Kory and I, we met last fall for the first time, and we just met today. So right. And both of you are being introduced to our audience, but and our team. So give me a quick rundown of who you are and where you came from and how you got to this point in life.
Yeah, so I'm Colby Thompson, the owner of Thompson Contractors. Basically what we do is custom homes, design, build, renovations, that kind of thing. And it's funny you ask. I got into the trade sort of a uncommon way. I started at 17 and got in, started working with my hands, and really just sort of fell in love with sort of two aspects: entrepreneurship and also, home building is really what I fell in love with. Okay. And sparked my entrepreneur side at 25, 26, and took the plunge and started it out, and it's going great, and I love it. I love everything I do as far as business goes, and building industry too. I love everything about it.
Gotcha. So it took you about 8 years to do your own thing once you got in?
Yeah, it took me about 8 years, and the only thing that I wish I would have done is sort of started earlier.
Sure.
Because, all you have is time, and, especially when you get a family and kids involved, it takes a lot of time from that. So, but yeah, it took me about 8 years to really pursue that passion.
Okay. And you made it. Now you've got your own shingle out there doing your own thing.
Yeah, we've got a little bit going, and it's hopefully it keeps going like it is. It's going good, and it's a great area to be in, and great association to be a part of too. So yeah, very, very good things here. Yeah,
good segue into the association. Kory, who you are, where you came from, how you got here.
Well, my name's Kory Boling. I am Executive Director for the Alabama Home Builders Foundation. So the foundation is actually the charitable arm of the Home Builders Association of Alabama. The foundation's primary role is to promote the trades, get more people involved in the trades. We have a scholarship program, which is probably our biggest program. We started that in '97. And since then, we've given out almost $900,000 in scholarships for people going into the trades. We have a carpentry program, plumbing program, things like that. But the way that it is involved with the association, like I said, is the charitable arm. The Home Builders Association is a trade group made up of builder members. And when we say home builders, it's not just home builders. It's anything to do with residential construction in the state of Alabama. We have about 8,000 members statewide. Of those 8,000, 2,000 are builder members. Yep. So that's quite a bit that are plumbers, HVAC, electrical, bankers, mortgage attorneys. So there's anything to do with residential construction is involved with the association. I've been involved with the association for about 25 years. Okay. Prior to what I'm doing now with the foundation, I was doing education. Okay. Setting up classes, developing classes, things like that. So 7-8 years ago is when I went into the foundation. And it's one of those things, I really enjoy it. I have a background in construction. Before coming to the association, I worked for a remodeler. Okay. In Montgomery. And I also received one of the scholarships when I went to college. So it's one of those things, for me, it's kind of a full circle moment. Absolutely. Is I got it when I was coming out of high school, going into college. So now here I am giving out scholarships for people going into the trade. So I really enjoy it. And kind of giving back to what I received.
Yeah. Have you had a chance to do that with your, like, hiring new people, young guys and girls?
Yep. So that's actually I do a little bit with a local high school here. I go to speak to freshmen and mainly sophomores. It's the younger generation, and it's the same high school I went to. It's almost like a full circle moment.
Which one?
Tuscaloosa County High School.
Yeah.
So I went there, and I'm able to go in and speak to them, and sort of be a young face, because I'm a young builder. Most of the guys are a little bit older than me.
Yeah.
And so I can go in and sort of be a fresh face in the trades and saying, look, there is opportunity on this side. I know it might not seem that way, but there's tremendous opportunity. And I'm living, breathing proof of it.
Yeah.
To be able to go out there and speak to them. So I really enjoy that, like you said, that full circle moment. It feels great to be able to get out there and sort of show your face and be a part of that process.
Yeah. I could see that. We have a career readiness division, which focuses just on the high schools. And Tom, y'all met just a minute ago. He's the coordinator for that. And Matt Heaton is manager. So, and we do that a lot because all of our courses are approved for a CRI by the State Department, which means high school kids in a certain academic track or career tech track can take our course and get a career readiness indicator, and everybody's got to have it starting this fall. Okay. So we can do that a lot. And the beautiful part is that you get to talk to the young people as a young contractor yourself, and you got to know the average age of your membership. Is what
it's around 50 years old.
Yeah.
In construction, just the average age for the worker is hovering around 50 years old, and which when you think about it, not very old.
It's not, because I'm 44 now. It's not old.
Yeah, and I'm a little bit older than you, so yeah, I can relate a little bit more, but so it's around 50, but then once for every 4 that leave, only 1 enters.
Yeah.
And regardless of the trade, so there's a huge need, and it's like we both said, just to get back to speaking to those.
Yeah, and that's some years ago, the governor Ivey said, big job push, 500,000 people by I think it was this year.
I think it was.
And so
yeah,
and I heard her say in person that we were on track, and so I don't know what on track means. I'm guessing we're like at 499,000. No,
I hope so.
No.
Yeah, we're not.
No, not. I don't think we're close to that, but it's. But yeah, I think we're on the right track because like I was saying, I'm 30 years old, so I'm young in the game. But when I was 16 and 17, the trade talk was never a thing in school. It was college. Both of my siblings went to college. I went to college myself, but it wasn't just based out of pure pressure to go. And I really wish I'd have had someone come in and say, hey, look, you can do this, because I was extremely intrigued in working with my hands.
What do you think? So, I was a high school teacher. I taught biology. And in that time, I call them dirt kickers. The boys and girls that came in every day with dirty pants and dirty boots on, and not because they weren't clean people, because they were doing something before they came to school. And I loved those kids, but they were smart and respectable, but they're in the back of the room, and I'm trying to teach them about genetics, and they're like, I want to go build something. Can we build something, coach? Like, sure. So we incorporate a lot of hands-on just to keep those folks engaged. But so when you think about those kids now out there, sophomore, junior, senior, who are capable of making an educated directional plan, when you go talk to them, what do you say? Like, what have you found to be the most effective in that outreach? And I'm gonna come back to you with the same question.
Okay.
So you're saying to really sort of get their attention, and so really what it is, for example, you can go out as a plumber, as an apprentice plumber, work your way up through master and everything else. And that's just a few short years of work under somebody. And that's just one example of one trade. And then you can go out and endless opportunities. I mean, not just here. You can go to any city, any state in the country and pursue something with a union. You can pursue it, with a general contractor or a plumbing company, or even start your own company as an entrepreneur. And, that's just one example, is being able to say, hey, look, I know this guy that is 24 years old, and this is exactly how he did this. And he was in your shoes. Maybe he didn't care so much about the book work, but he was definitely interested in hard work and getting his hands dirty and actually seeing physical results of his own labor, And it's, And so that's one way that I do it, is saying, hey, look, I have proven examples of these guys. There's, it's few and far between now just because of how many are actually entering, like you're saying, the 4-to-1 ratio. But, when you have those examples to do that, it's, it gets their attention a lot more than saying, hey, look, this is a college route to go to, or this is this and that. But it's really good to get their attention that way, in my opinion.
Makes sense. Kory?
Well, I mean, it's the same. I mean, I kind of say the same thing to an extent. I have family members that, but what we were just talking about, the trades had been a focus. Like when you were in school, they weren't pushing trades and things like that. And when we were, definitely not. Yeah. And, I could have taken a different path if, we had carpentry, plumbing, electrical, because I was one of those kids. I wanted to get my hands dirty, and but ended up, I did go to college. But to answer your question, it's it's the exact same thing. What Colby said is, you're going to start out, sort of the low man on the totem pole. But if you work hard, within 2 to 3 years, you can be in the office.
Yeah.
Within 10 years, you can have your own company. So, and that's any of the trades. Plumbing, HVAC, electrical, carpentry, whatever it may be, or even if you're even going into construction.
Yep.
If you're working out, Colby hires me to come in, and eventually it's like, more than likely somebody that you're going to hire may eventually go off on their own, do their own thing. Nothing wrong with that. But I say the same thing. Within 10 years, you can have your own company, be running your own company, telling everybody else what to do. So again, like what he said, it's the same story. There's so many opportunities, and I mentioned our carpentry program that we do. We're teaching them carpentry, but they may finish it and like, what? I don't like carpentry. But we've got them in kind of in the system. It's like, but I do like working with my hands. I'm going to go into HVAC.
Yeah.
So, a lot of the things that you learn out there can translate to other trades, so to speak. So like I said, if you don't like carpentry and that's what you started out in, you'll still be pretty good at plumbing or HVAC or whatever it may be.
I think you're right. And so we have a carpentry helper. I don't like that word, helper. I prefer like assistant. Sound cooler. So carpentry, electrical, and plumbing is piloting the second one first week of April 8, 9, 10, actually, at Ingram State, which is really cool because that's the incarcerated population. And then flooring installation ends next Tuesday. And they did 4 parts: carpet, hardwood, tile. Was it vinyl?
Yeah, probably vinyl. Yeah,
vinyl. I think vinyl was like second on the list. So we built it in this 8x8 frame, and they start with whatever can be on the bottom. I think hardwood goes on the bottom, and they stack it up. And I think anyway, they tear up one part to put down the last one. So, but they graduate from that. So you could have students who go through and who have seen carpentry, electrical. They've pulled Romex through a wall, right? They've hooked up P-trap and supply lines, right? They know what it makes a clean grout line, okay? And they know what a 16-inch center wall is.
Yep. That's a big step.
Gosh,
that's a big step.
Reading the tape measure, that's a big step.
Because it's not 16 from the edge of the thing, it's whatever. So that black magic of that tape measure is just, man, it's crazy. So you have all these kids who have seen tape measures and all these different things. So if they don't like carpentry, all of that tug and that pull and that fit and that fabrication mind is at play. And now they're a whole different worker.
Yep.
So what kind of value would that be to you as an owner operator and as a membership?
It's huge in my eyes. If you have, what I look for a lot of times when I'm hiring is I'm young. I want to build relationships with people that are young because, there's nothing wrong with, the age of an average plumber right now, for example, or a carpenter at 50 years old or 55 years old. But those guys have only got a certain amount of time left. Yeah. And the earlier you can recruit these guys in and develop them at 20 and 25, those guys and girls too are 30 more years in the trades of going strong. And if you can get them in the earlier you can and develop them the way that you need it to be developed, it's like you're saying, just tremendous opportunity. You can be a project manager, you can be an entrepreneur, and any of these people that come to me and they came to me at 22 years old, say, hey, I really want to learn, how to build homes because I want to be a builder one day. I would take them under my wing in a heartbeat.
Mm-hmm.
What if I could give you a list of students who had opted in to a job offer from you or your competitors in the area, your membership, but they had completed, and they were 17, 18 years old looking for summer jobs because their school's about to be, and they completed some of these courses, maybe even a heavy equipment course. What if I could connect you to, I'm going to say hundreds of students, like with a text message, then you get a list.
I could, if it wasn't under my company, I could absolutely link them up with at least at a minimum job interviews with vendors and you have the same thing too. I mean, it's just locally too. I mean, I can.
Well, that's what I'm talking about.
I mean,
in this area.
Yep. I have friends that are general contractors, obviously plumbers, drywallers. It doesn't matter what it is.
Well, if you imagine if you drew Tuscaloosa on a map and whatever, 50 miles out, driving distance for a young person. Okay, young driver.
Yeah.
So West Birmingham over, Moundville up, whatever, state line, maybe not that far, Sumter County, whatever. Yeah. And I could say, hey kids, here's 3 job offers, these kinds of jobs. Do you want information sent to those people, yes or no? And then we come back with a list with names, phone numbers, emails, and what course they took. And I could give that to you in your area and say, hey, companies, here's some kids that are interested. Take them on, see what they do.
That's right.
So that's why ultimately that's Kayla and I working on the state association list. That's what we're after, and that's why we shamelessly, that's why we invited you, and we've been hounding you to get your membership, to get those kids in front of your folks. That's why we're here, and so that's what we want to do. And to that point, Shelton State, which is right here in Tuscaloosa. They've got a summer camp successful, and this is from 16 up, all these courses. So you would have fiber optics, which may not be a big deal in your world, but maybe it's growing just the Internet of Things.
Absolutely it is,
Carpentry helper, this is all in June. Fiber optics, carpentry, and customer service. I don't know if customer service is important to your brand or not.
It is it is once you get up in the management and admin side, but
I mean, and we laugh, but but in our course, it's like you got all these different companies, and you got truck drivers and people in suits and people from all walks of life, but they are the brand.
That's right.
When they're walking out there, and so even a bad haircut is fixed with good customer service. So it's in there. But then in July, land survey, which may not be a big deal, but if you do your own marks or your own whatever you do with that, your folks can learn it. And so, not to mention tons of heavy equipment. So what I would love is to say, hey, in the Tuscaloosa area, companies, come see these kids, come look at them, or maybe even a promotional video where we get a couple of y'all together. Seed does all of our work. Hey, I'm Colby. This is what I do, and here's Bob, and here's what he does. We want you.
That's right.
Good old Uncle Sam kind of thing.
Yeah,
something. I'm not creative, but the point is, like, Emily and her team over there at Shelton are putting this together. Y'all are here. Obviously, you're interested in hiring good people. So that's what we're after. That's what we're all about.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would more than happy to bridge that gap, even if it's not necessarily in my company. I have endless contacts to be able to. The people are. I mean, they're looking for people. They have been for years.
And so we did that with the Land Survey Association, Professional Land Surveyor Group. There's one company in particular, Shoal Surveying and Engineering. They said, hey, we're going to recruit these folks, and if we don't hire them, we will take them to somebody else. Guarantee an interview. And that's all we can do is guarantee an interview. But that's what we want to do. So how does that look for y'all? Like in the real, let's say there are hundreds of students, boys and girls, age 16 to 60. How does it look if we give you a list of these folks who all say they're interested? What do you do with all that?
So one of the things, Colby's here representing the Home Builders Association of Tuscaloosa. I'm with the Home Builders Association of Alabama. We have 26 different locals around the state.
Yeah. So
we got Tuscaloosa, we got Birmingham, we got Chilton County, Montgomery, Mobile, Baldwin County. I mean, just throughout the state. So you're mentioning this list of students, and how many community colleges do I have? 22, 23?
There are 23 that do workforce like this.
Okay. So they're in our areas. So it's one of those things that's, if y'all are doing programs like this, you can get it to me. I can get it to the locals and help get them involved. Because since I've been doing the foundation work, that's one of the things that's been kind of get on my soapbox about is you've got all these programs in your backyard. They're training plumbing, electrical, whatever. Get involved in some way. Yes. Just take them pizza. It doesn't matter because, like we've been talking about, everybody needs workers. Mm-hmm. You've got some right here. What are you doing about it? So it's, just getting involved like Tuscaloosa's doing and with Shelton State. And so we've got some good locals that are involved in some of these programs. But we just, like you said, bridge that gap. Get these people in front of these people who are hiring.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said it, and I'm glad you're sitting here because one of the things we found is that you got this, this circle of students who've done something and want to work. Mm-hmm. They went through. They got a skill now. You got these companies who say we need workers, and you got these like chambers of commerce and economic development. It's like we need to connect workers to, and it's like they're right there.
They're right there.
Mm-hmm. So why is there not this beautiful Venn diagram? I know Penny Dollar, my English teacher's loving this, but why is there not a beautiful Venn diagram where all three of those mesh and there's those people that get jobs? So the question, your statement, and my question is, what is it that keeps folks like you from just being able to go and plug in? And it's not a condemnation. It's like, I know what you're doing. You're trying to make money and do a good product. But what is it that we could do to help make that happen?
I think there's from my side, I think it is more so communication. Like, okay, these guys and girls are here. But as like a business owner, I mean, we're sort of tight on time, just as an individual myself, and if these opportunities come up, maybe it'd be a good thing to blast it out early, saying, hey, look, these guys, they're just starting their semester or their program or whatever it is, and it looks like they're going to be finishing up this year, this month, or this date, and have an email list, have a call list, or a text message list even of these people that can bridge that gap, because even let's just say if there was 50 people in the area that could bridge that gap and 20 of them could help. Well, if I can link 10 kids up with 10 people and down the list, and next thing you know, you have a couple hundred people that have opportunity in front of them from a skill set that they just developed. So I think it's more so of a routine communication, keeping that relationship going. And it's not that there's any bad blood in there by any means. It's just bridging that communication gap of really just staying in touch is what it is, because and that's with anything in business. It's not just hiring and stuff like that. It's maintaining communication and networking
and keep it. So I'm not in business really. Like, I've been in education my whole life, so I'm not a businessman. I can't build anything other than Legos. And I'm
Lincoln Logs.
Lincoln Logs. Master of Lincoln Logs.
Good at those.
So my skill set is connecting, right? So it's the nature of what I found. So, but to hear you say that, it's like, that's so easy. And that's like, okay, well, how many times do I have to go back and make that, how many times do I have to say it? How many times do you guys have to see it, like, oh man, okay, that's it, and again, certainly not a condemnation, because we're all so busy, but like, I'm trying to figure out that secret sauce of, okay, here's a guy trying to make $1, feed his family, do good work, build his business. What does it take for me to change the way I speak, email, whatever, to get in their inbox and say, okay, cool. And I was looking at our calendar right here, trainforalabama.com. This is our website, and you can look on this calendar. There's for every day, there's a whole bunch going on. So you can look at this lab, like electrical helper in Andalusia. That's not where we are. But on March 31st, there's a electrical helper lab at this address, and here are the people to contact, right? So we're trying to put that in everybody's inbox, right? And so that's our mission, is to go and to get you guys and say, hey, you can't ignore us. Here are your future workers. So that makes it easy on y'all. I'll say all that to say, we want to make it easy on you. So you're like, oh, okay, I'll send Bob over there. Bob's my best carpenter, and it's raining. or I'm just going to make that day and make him go over there to get these folks. Does that work? If we just are like crazy aggressive with the chambers, the EDAs, the association leads, is it helpful or annoying?
Well, I think to an extent, but that it's very helpful. But like Colby was saying, part of the benefit of being a member of the association is the networking.
That's right.
You go to these board meetings or whatever it may be, or golf tournament, whatever, and you're talking to so and so electrical, and he can't make the event. You talk to him, it's like, well, he needs 5 people.
Yeah.
Well, he's running his own business. He's out there pulling the wire, doing all that stuff. He can't make it.
No.
But Colby knows, like, hey, I know this guy that's, he's looking. So the networking part of it, but to answer your question, I think it's beneficial. It's one of those things, when you get a ton of emails
Sure.
and stuff like that. But, hey, we're having this event on May 1st with these electrical students. Can you come down?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What's the best, though, in your world, like any contractor, he's doing all this stuff. What's the best way what gets your attention? Is it local radio? Is it social media, word of mouth? What do you think?
So I'm a young guy. I'm a social media guy.
Sure.
That's where most of any of our business and connections are right now in 2025. And so social media is a big thing, staying there. And then also it's sort of an old school way, but direct mail. Because every single morning I come into my office, I have a stack of mail that office manager put on my desk, whether it's, it could be, new accounts or whatever it is. But every single day I get something right in front of me.
So if we had a list of all the contractors, home builders in the state, and just happen to have their email addresses and mailing addresses, I wonder if we could mail them something.
Because
you could.
You could,
But it's funny you say that, the snail mail, as we call it. I said I did education prior to doing the foundation role. We would send email blast and do all this stuff, and the class is 2 weeks out. We got 2 people.
Yeah.
We'll send something, and we'll get 20 people.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's funny how that works, but
you think it's just a clock thing? If I said, hey, in 1 year we're going to do a thing, you're like, okay, cool. Nice plan. 6 months. Oh, next week. Oh, crap.
Yep.
Is that just human nature?
it could be.
Yeah.
I think it is.
Doesn't
I think
matter who you are.
it naturally creates that sense of urgency right then.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it's hard to plan out a year in advance.
Yeah.
But like you're saying, if it was a week out, and then I did the same thing with the continuing education course for the homebuilder's license. And I was like, oh yeah, I got, 3 months,
Got plenty
2
of time.
months. Oh, I've got 7 days to finish this. And so yeah, it was a sense of urgency like that, but it was also a direct mail flyer that I got that reminded me.
Okay.
So it might just be me, but it's definitely one thing that catches my attention because it's something different I see every day. I get 1,000 emails. I probably got 15 since I've sat down.
Sure.
But as far as direct mail goes, I might get 5 or 10 a day.
Okay. That's very powerful information. What about local radio? Like, I think people forget about that because I don't listen. I drive so much. I listen to other things.
It's for me, it depends on the season.
Yeah.
Football season, I'm listening to local radio.
Yeah.
I want to hear what's going on in the state of Alabama. I don't care what's going on in any other state.
Yep.
So for me, that's local from August until January, February.
Sure.
But yeah, I'm like you. I travel a lot, so thank goodness for satellite radio and podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too.
So I say I'm a social media, younger generation, but mainly the radio. I use a lot of Spotify.
Yeah.
I have playlists that I've, cultivated for the past, 10 years or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I do a lot of that. As far as the public radio goes, not so much. I have a few little political talk shows I'll tune into and listen to every once in a while. if something big's happening in the world or something, with whether it's state or federal level politics. But that's about as far as I go with it, as far as listening to the radio. So my total listen time per month on actual radio, I would say it's probably 2 hours.
Sure.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
Only really when the Bluetooth goes out. When my phone doesn't connect to my car,
Yeah.
it's like, I'll listen to the radio.
You gotta listen to the radio.
Here's Bob's Jewelers. Come on in. Oh, gosh. Drives me crazy. Well, it's good to hear because, we try to reach, we've got, in my hometown, we've got 105.7 The Hound Dog. It's classic country, like old, 70s country.
Yeah.
I love it.
That's the good stuff.
Yeah,
But
that's good stuff.
who listens to that? The Dirt Kickers.
Yep.
Pulling up in the high school. I hear it on their radio
Really?
sometimes. It's crazy, man.
Really?
It's what their dads, or their granddads listen to now. So anyway, that's really good feedback. And it wasn't just to pick y'all's brains on that kind of stuff, but what's your biggest challenge right now as an association, as a privately owned contractor? What's your biggest challenge for the next 5 years of employment workforce? I mean, I'm sure there are plenty of other challenges, but in workforce specifically, what's I think I know, but what's the biggest one?
So I guess on my end is developing project managers. That is I'll say that it is because we're more so on the project management side and not necessarily hammer swinging every day, for example. So, developing, because a good project manager is someone that has some experience. They understand the scope of work. They understand how stuff happens, and they sort of work their way up through a management role, and they're able to run these projects now and understand the finances behind it and everything too. So that's my biggest thing, is finding these guys that can be project managers and run these projects, because there's more people. There's not enough, but there's more people that are, getting out there and doing and performing the work, but who's managing that work?
Is that kind of person? They're probably not a young person, and maybe they just grew up in it and they're phenom, but maybe like age 25, 30, or is it older, a little bit older? Is it
so I sort of see a age of really be able to make that jump from laborer to superintendent to project manager. A lot that's sort of the route you take in residential construction specifically, but it typically takes them, it's sort of that same time frame we're talking about, 8 years, 10 years, right in that range. And that way they have some field knowledge, they have some management knowledge, then they can take on some more responsibility. And a lot of times you lose those guys that develop those skills and those management skills, and they start having some interaction with clients and that kind of thing. Then they say, well, I can do this on my own, which there's nothing wrong with that. But, it's hard you already have a limited workforce coming in to develop. Yeah. And then the next level, which is superintendent with some management involved. And then taking that and developing into a good project manager. I mean, that's cream of the crop right there. And it's so hard to get that.
And once you get them and you see them when they're on your staff, it's you got to pay them a little better. You got to what's that saying? You got to pay them well enough to train them well enough to leave, but treat them, pay them well enough to stay.
That's right.
I forget, one of the paving companies says that. So is that true for the whole association?
I think so. I mean, like you said, he's more of the project manager, dealing with the clients. For us, 5 years down the line, it's alleviating that trade gap. I mean, just getting those people. We talked about it before of how we've seen a little change in everybody was pushing college. Well, now we've seen a little shift to where, some people, it's like, I just don't want to go to college. Okay, well, here's another great opportunity for you. So it's just, because in Alabama, we're a small state, but we have a lot of industry. So we have a lot of people pulling. Yeah, so we have a lot of people pulling at this small labor force. Yeah. So it's like we just want to make sure that we tell them all the opportunities there are in residential construction, whatever it may be. If they want to be mason or painters, whatever. There's a need for all of them, and you can make a great living doing any of them.
Which of the so we build our courses with a task force only when there's an industry ask. So somebody somewhere said we need carpentry helpers. Cool. Okay, we'll build it. So we have carpentry, electrical, flooring, and plumbing coming. There's something else. We were asked about HVAC recently, but the colleges do that already. And I don't know where it fits in this world. But if you had to pick one of those four, what's your biggest deficit right now as a general contractor?
So I'll say my biggest deficit right now is plumbers.
Okay.
I'm not sure what the list you just said was.
Plumbing, flooring, electrical, carpenter, all entry level.
And then carpenters.
Yeah.
So those guys wash through. A lot of times you'll see them. They'll join a framing crew or something like that, and then they'll work for a year, and then you just won't see them again. And they'll say, "Oh, so and so, they might have went to work on an oil rig, or they went to work on because they developed some, skill sets with their hands, and sort of has some, tried and true methods of, showing up to work, doing these things." Yeah. And it goes back to the same thing of paying your people well. It's hard to compete at that pay level with those guys, and it's people that just want to work. They just want to work, and so it's hard to retain them in that aspect. But yeah, roofers, plumbers, and carpenters are where I'm seeing my shortfalls mainly right now.
Yeah, we don't have a roofer. We added a roofing module, which really we named it wrong. It should have been like a roof framing module, not roofing. Totally different word.
Yep.
Yeah. I think we need to change that before we go much further. But you're talking like an actual roofer.
Yes.
Like putting the outer texture on. Yeah.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah, that makes sense. I got a guy at my church. He has a big roofing company, and he talks about it all the time. Nobody knows how to, whatever. And I know what he's talking about. I can't describe it here.
Yeah.
So thinking of your locals and thinking right here in Tuscaloosa, they don't have plumbing on their list. But what if we said, hey, we're going to do an academy, and in 1 week they're going to go through the online theory wherever, but by a certain day they're going to come in for 2 days this week and do plumbing, and 2 days this week and do carpentry, which I know they go together as you're framing and going up. How valuable would that be if they come out with those two certificates and they could tell you all the tools, the basic layout, read a blueprint roughly, and then know the difference between a 2x4 and a 2x6 and PVC pipe?
I think that's a big help, especially on like for example, new construction plumbing crews. When you start out on a crew, I mean, you start out on the bottom and you have to work your way up. Yep. But having that knowledge of, okay, I know this is where the sewer line is on this plan. I know when we run sewer line, we need this specific tool and this specific fitting. We're going to need a shovel. We're going to need this and that. And if it's already there on site, the owner of that company or that foreman is going to see that. Yeah, they're going to see that. Okay, this guy already knows this, and that's going to excel them faster than anything else. Is just having that knowledge and the will.
Music to my ears. How do we sell that to your membership?
That's a good question. Trying to think of how to put it down, and I got this great thought in my head. I think it's just a matter of, hey, we've got these workers with these basic skills that we think could be beneficial to your members. I mean, like going back to what he said, I mean, just knowing the basic tools for the plumbing would be a tremendous help, or even going back to this is how you read a tape measure. But as far as marketing to our members, I think it'll be easy. I mean, because like we've been preaching this entire time, it's we all need workers. They all need workers. We've got this set of workers, or we've got these set of credentials or whatever it may be that we're teaching these workers. How can we get them involved, or how can we put this two together?
Yeah. So if we had the skills list out there, say, hey, people, contractors, this date, this time, 10 kids are coming out with these skills, these top 10, top 5 skills in plumbing and carpentry, electrical, if they can do it. That's helpful. What are your must-haves? Like, as you say right now, like you've got 10 people out there and you're looking to hire 3 spots. What are the 3-4 things you're going to look at that you've got to have out of somebody? And they may not be skilled. They may not have been trained. This is off the street.
Off the street, the first thing I judge in any job interview is character, and I know that's something that you have to develop on your own. But a good character as far as how you carry yourself, how you speak, that kind of thing. Just professionalism all around. And I know coming off the street, you might not have the full kit. I mean, 18 years old, 20 years old even. But that's the first thing I look at. The next thing is how willing are you to actually work with your hands? I know a lot of people, they get told about the dollar side. They get told about it's a great career path, but are they willing to go from that entry level position and actually work your way up through that? Because it's not an easy task. I mean, it's working with your hands. It's out in the heat. It's out in the cold. It's in the rain. It's in all of these things. And there are a lot of opportunities, but how willing are you to go through that process? And I think that there's a lot of kids out there that will surprise us of how hard they're willing to work. But it's getting that opportunity in front of them and seeing which ones will. And it's hard to read that up front too. But it's I think those are the two things that I look for, is really trying to get that out of them, as far as, okay, is this something that you're really willing to go through? And I'm not saying it's a bad thing, it's a great thing, but are you really willing to go through this, to develop the skill sets, to move up in the rankings and make the money, and then also what character are you before that ever even happens?
How they walk in the door.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's just kind of add to that. It's it kind of goes on with the character part of it. And, I travel the state dealing with contractors. Are they going to show up on time?
Sure.
That goes back into the characters. Like, if they're showing up 15 minutes late for the interview,
probably not going to work out.
Is that someone you really want? It could be. I mean, it's just, hey, got caught in traffic, had a flat tire, whatever it may be. But that's one of the things that they say all the time. It's like, can they show up?
Will they show up on time and stay the whole time?
Yeah.
Will they show up and will they stay?
Yeah.
And will they actually do the thing in the hot sun?
Yeah, and that's I do some mock interviews as well for everything from freshmen all the way to seniors at Tuscaloosa County High School, and
that's awesome.
And it's I get a lot of guys in there, and they've never known how to carry themselves, to present themselves in situations like that, and a lot of times I'll do the interview with them, then I'll say, hey, look, let's get up. I want you to come back to my table again. I want you to think about it. I want you to be proud of who you are. What's your name?
Yeah.
I want you to come up here and I want you to be proud of your name when you sit down at this table.
Yeah.
And it's a completely different person. And they've just never had to do that. And it's but yeah, I think that there's a lot of opportunity, or a lot of kids that have that in them. You just have to be able to get it out of them.
Yeah. Being a teacher and principal, I saw so many communities in times where there just wasn't somebody at home to say that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. And no condemnation to anybody, but it's just an unfortunate culture thing sometimes. Okay, so we've been real serious this whole time, man, and we got just a few minutes. And when you don't script it, but we can't be Joe Rogan. They, the chancellor won't let us say bad words and whatnot. So, the funniest thing that's ever happened on a job site.
Oh, the funniest thing, man.
Oh my goodness.
I can just imagine. But
well, I mean, there's always the jokes, but we can't share those.
Can't share those.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to go through and filter out.
My mom's going to be listening.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of something clean. I don't know. I mean, going back to, of course, that was 25, 30 years ago now. I was working on construction.
Yeah.
What's your go-to? You got the new guy. Like when I was a teacher and a coach, we'd tell that freshman that was goofy, like, "Hey, go get the board stretcher.
Yeah,
we need that. Coach needs it right away.
That's
Take
still
it to
a thing.
him."
Yeah.
So what's your go-to for the new guy? Like that, we call it hazing. It's not, but just what's the thing?
Board stretcher's a good one. There's you can get plumbers will use the pipe stretchers if they cut a pipe. All that stuff. I'm trying to think. Go get the let's see. Somebody called it something one time. I think it was the Bluetooth fuel can or something.
Oh gosh!
And they were out there.
Well, that's always. I mean, there's always fluid for something. And it's like get the Sawzall. Get the Sawzall fluid or
that's good stuff.
Whatever it may be. And
I think that builds so much character because and that's what I miss when I went from teacher to coach. to principal, I worked from all dudes to all women.
Yeah.
And I mean, the jokes just stopped. You know,
Yeah.
like all the good.
Yeah,
fun we
yeah.
were
I'm
like,
sure we got some good jokes. We just
Yeah.
can't share those.
Can't share those.
Yeah, it's good stuff, man. So what I'm loving about this episode is that your willingness to connect us.
Yes.
Like you've given us access to everything we need to do whatever we can, and as long as we're willing to chase it down, you'll keep going with us. I love that you brought Colby in. You know, young guy who made it on his own, did his own thing, and everything you said about coaching people, bringing them up, you know, and how that should go. That, you know, that's the light at the end of the tunnel for us. Like, we're doing all this stuff, but where are they going?
Yeah, where are they going?
Hopefully they're going somewhere, you know, with your idea for what's going to come ahead. Let's say this has kind of become our ending question. In 1 year, maybe 1 to 5 years, what are you going to toast to as an association collectively?
Oh, there's so many things. I guess we can.
Yeah, I guess on my side, on a local level, I think we're really pushing for, you know, expanding the organization locally to bring in, you know, insurance agents and plumbers and all different aspects that are in residential construction. So I think we're going to be toasting to a lot bigger group in 5 years. I really do. I think that the outreach that we're doing locally, I think, is going to have a big, you know, turn as far as membership numbers go. And with membership numbers, I mean, it helps all the way across the board, regardless if you're trying to get into the trades or trying to develop your company once you start. It's so I think we're going to be toasting to a lot more members on this side, which is a big help in networking and making those connections.
Bigger and more diverse.
Yep.
It's funny you say that. Our president last year, one of his biggest goals was to start a professional trades council. We've never had that. Like I said before, you know, we have 8,000 members statewide, 2,000 are builder members, you know, so we've got a large pool of those trade people that are not involved.
Yeah.
So that's something we've just started, but that kind of echoes what he's saying is, you know, hopefully getting those people more involved with the association because, like I said before, we're the Home Builders Association. People think it's just construction. We're the home building industry.
I mean,
And
all
we're-
of it.
Yeah, that's right.
We're representing the whole industry. So if there's an issue with plumbing, code, whatever it may be, we're the ones who are going to go to bat for you to, you know, to help
Yeah.
solve that.
Yeah, I didn't when we heard home builder. I thought carpenter the whole time for a long time, and then I was like, wait a minute, it might include all those other things. And then now it's the finance and it's all the other wraparound services to make a home go up.
Oh my gosh.
Everything.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's everything with a commercial project just a little bit faster in the grand scheme of things a lot of times. So
That's cool. Well, I hope that we can help with that in some way. We're certainly going to connect you to a lot of students and all the
We
summer
like
camps
that.
around. And that's Kayla and I are working on that big push, and it's a lot of work. But I think in our year, we're going to toast to kids with jobs, stories about kids with jobs, and y'all saying, well, when's the next camp? Like,
Yeah.
when's the next thing? Like, what's your next course? And creating that pipeline that's dependable. So quickly, because we are out of time, final thoughts?
final thoughts. I think that there was a connection made here as far as being a young builder and be able to connect with some younger people. Because that's what I told my wife was, you know, as you progress in your career, you sort of figure out which direction you're not just led in, but which direction you want to go. And it's really sort of to not necessarily just give back, but show the opportunities to the younger generation, because I know where I came from and I know how I started. And if I could have had those same opportunities presented to me at a young age, I'd be 10 years ahead of where I'm at now.
Could be.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing to see it. So
I appreciate you coming in and giving us all that on a sunny day outside. You could
Yeah.
be doing a lot of things
Could be
today.
doing a lot of
I know.
things,
This is a very nice
Yeah.
day.
Kory, final thoughts?
I just want to thank y'all for reaching out.
Yeah.
Back in October, whenever it was, and I feel like we spent so much time together lately. We're going to be at each other's family reunions
Might as well.
coming up or something.
Christmas cards and everything.
Yeah, do all that. But it's just, and I told you this 100 times. Y'all probably get tired of me saying it, but y'all were training workers. We need some workers. We need to make that happen. So, I mean, because like I said, just every one of our members will. We need this. We need that.
Yep. Well,
So-
I think we've got it. If we don't have it, the colleges have it. And if they don't have it, we'll build it.
Yeah.
How about that? That's
Sounds
our promise.
good. Yeah, that
We
sounds
like
good.
that.
Good. Well, thank you both, Colby, Kory, for being here, giving up your time to work, time to
Thank
travel,
you.
whatever. This has been another episode of Innovation Unplugged. We thank you for joining us. Remember to like, subscribe, and share on all podcast platforms. Have a good day.